Hi, welcome back to World History Official. How are you doing today? I hope you're all doing great. Today we're back to share to you some hidden knowledge that most people don't know about. Most of people out there will just swallow every single news from the media without questioning it. So in this video, we'll talk about it in details. I really hope that it could inspire and motivate you to find out the truth. Without any further ado, let's get to it.
Many people have woken up to the Earth being a flat plane, and this awakening will gain more momentum in the coming years. What still remains a mystery to many, within the flat Earth community, is the Moon, because it is probably the toughest nut to crack in the basket. This offering aims to clearly present what is logical and known about the Moon, plus information, myth, and intuition around some of the Moon's behavior and history, much of which the flat Earth community remains divided and disparate upon, amidst a bombardment of disinformation, ego, and confusion. The Moon has always been an enigma, it has always been worshipped throughout time, and its energy has always been harnessed by mystics and the like, therefore, it deserves its own publication within the growing flat Earth community. And luckily, there are still some who prefer the refined, literal experience instead of a YouTube clip, at times awash with ghastly music, amateurism, subscriber addiction, and haste. This is a subject I've had trouble with, and have gone around in many circles. I know many others have issue with this too. First off, through a telescope, it appears to be a sphere to the human eye and mind, but this doesn't mean it actually is. First off, we've been told all our lives, it is a sphere, so, our subconscious will project sphereness onto it. We saw before how sunlight and moonlight clearly have different properties, and furthermore, the Moon itself cannot physically be both a spherical body, and reflect the sun's light. Reflectors must be flat or concave for light rays to have any angle of incidence. If a reflector's surface is convex, then, every ray of light points in a direct line with the radius perpendicular to the surface, resulting in no reflection. The Moon's light is uniform, over the entire surface. If it was a sphere reflecting the Sun, then the curved surface would display a highlight and drop-off. Moonlight is cold and sunlight is hot. The Moon is self-luminous, and not reflecting the Sun. Dr. Samuel Robotham said, again, if the Moon is a sphere, which it is declared to be, how can its surface reflect the light of the Sun? If her surface was a mass of polished silver, it could not reflect from more than a mirror point. Let a silvered glass ball, or globe, of considerable size be held before a lamp or fire of any magnitude, and it will be seen, that instead of the whole surface reflecting light, there will be a very small portion only illuminated. But the Moon's whole surface is brilliantly illuminated. A condition or effect utterly impossible if it be spherical. We also have from the Greek legends, the chariot wheels, symbolizing the sun and moon, and in ancient Egypt, a boat is transporting the sun disk. The ancients always referred to the sun and moon as disks, they never said they were spheres. NASA perpetuate the sphere lie, and tell us, there is a dark side to the moon that no one ever sees, and that, they filmed it from photo mapping. The thing with this time-lapse cartoon movie they concocted, is the clouds on the Earth don't move in 2 days of Earth spinning. Also in the 2-day time-lapse video, the moon's phase would not have changed so much, plus, the moon doesn't seem to move in its own fake orbit. Why no photo of the moon's sphere in 50 years of space travel? Didn't they land there? So it's flat, but this raises 2 problems. Problem 1, flat, but how? When the moon is retreating from me in Europe, setting in common terms, those on the east coast of America would soon see it approaching, but they would see the same face. The moon isn't a disk that flips 180 degrees when nobody's looking, so how do we all see the same face? The model has to be as such: the moon is flat and facing down. This is the only way we can all see the same and only face. But this raises problem 2, and it's a big problem. Problem 2, the ellipse issue. If the moon is flat and facing down, some would say, we should not see it sink behind the horizon. But we should, due to our perspective vision, and our eye's vanishing point. As stated before, eyes are spherical objects that focus light on the lens at the back. The horizon has nothing to do with the shape of the world, and everything to do with distance. People are fooled into thinking the horizon is the edge of the curve.
The lower we go, the closer the horizon over a flat surface. The surface is still there, sorry about the camera, but it is now mirroring. And as we lift the camera up again, we'll see the mirroring receding and going back into the distance. I'll bring the camera down again and we'll see the horizon come rushing towards us as the surface beyond it mirrors instead of showing us the actual surface.
But the problem we find is that the moon does not slowly appear to our eyes as an ellipse during its departure, increase in distance from the eye, like all other flat face-down circles appear to. It appears to us as a circle, as though it is vertical, in relation to our eyes. Surely within the flat face-down model, it should turn into an ellipse. I held mugs over my head and moved them, and made white paper circles of different sizes, and got someone to move them away from me, and each crude test, with terrible scale, showed them set, but also turns into an ellipse. Now the only reasons for the moon not appearing to human eyes as an ellipse, I can conjure up are some sort of refraction or reflection through a lens of some kind. Some sort of lens, that always reflects the moon to the facing observer. Some sort of transparent and dense medium. Let us note that a layer of density does exists at around 100 kilometers up. Note 1, sprites or plasma discharge, are only below 100 kilometers. Note 2, elves or large halos of plasma discharge, are only above 100 kilometers. Note 3, the northern lights start at 100 kilometers altitude. Note 4, temperature changes around 100 kilometers. Note 5, there is no evidence I've seen to suggest and human technology has gone above 100 kilometers. Note 6, some see this layer as glass, but this can't be the case as this glass would be found at every meteor site. In mythology, there is mention of a transparent medium that is located in front of the sun, like a shield. From the Nordic legends of Svalin mythology, I quote, "The earth is protected from the full heat of the sun, by the shield Svalin, which is placed before sun." The firmament's dome ceiling, which contains the meteorites and arcs above the stars, has a role to play in how we see the moon with our eyes. I see this ceiling as being a thick layer, made up from metals, rock, ice, and glass. The moon sits within a layer of liquid of some kind. This may sound strange, but when one studies the star in a jar, sonoluminescence, it is also something we cannot rule out too quickly. Note that the moon goddess Pamuya from the Native American Hopi meant water moon, and the moon goddess Laia from Tibet was a beauty who carried a mirror. Let us note that Genesis sees the model as a flat earth, with water above the firmament, but yes, the moon is within or below the firmament ceiling. I am not the only one that thinks the firmament may have a role to play in how the moon appears to our eyes when it approaches and departs. Gabrielle Henriette said, as already stated, the surface irregularities, which were thought to exist on the imaginary masses called planets, are those of the dome of the sky, such as they are seen through the transparent disks. The so-called mountains, craters and depressions of the moon, are details of the structure of the dome. It may be remarked in this connection, that the astronomers at the Mount Palomar Observatory in America, have recently reported, that striking alterations have taken place on the surface of the moon. Gigantic craters and fissures, of more than 500 kilometers, are said to have appeared, and ranges of mountains as important as the Alps, have disappeared without leaving a trace, but all those supposed alterations, correspond clearly, to the successive structural features of the dome, which are progressively revealed by the luminous and transparent disk of the moon, as it moves on. If anyone has any other ideas or angles on the ellipse problem, then I am all ears. It just has to be flat, and it has to be face down, for the solid reasons presented.
And that's beyond the pole on the other side of the South Pole, from Little America. And I think it's quite astonishing that there should be an area as big as that unexplored.